Hi there, you're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now with me, Shreyansi Singh and Snehisha. And over the next 1 hour, we'll get all of your stock-related queries answered from both a technical as well as a fundamental perspective. But well, first things first, let's take a look at what the market is doing then. And it's quite a tepid day in trade coming in. Both the Christmas colors are plenty in terms
Plenty on the street, that's the way to put it, Shreyansi. Hi there, good morning. Let's take a look at what the markets are shaping up to be. And not looking very good for the markets, but however, not looking very bad also. We're somewhere in the middle when it comes to that. Very flat moves coming in from Nifty, but currently still under that 23,750 mark. Sensex has slipped over to the red a little bit and under that 78,500 mark as well. India VIX is the one to point out right now, 4.5% uptick coming in on that front as well. We're back to the 13.814 levels coming in. Nifty Bank, that was a clear outperformer in the beginning of a day, 0.5% gain coming in earlier, has now reversed all of those losses and now is further deeper in the red, 0.2% cut coming in under that 51,150 mark on the Nifty Bank as well. Advanced decline ratio has now very steeply shifted to the favor of the declines. That was not the case when we started our markets earlier in the day, but Nifty is the one that seems to be holding on to some steady, some footing, rather flat, not doing much, but still nonetheless not in the red yet as well. On the flip side, it's the broader markets that have been taking it on the chin. Nifty mid cap, a 0.5% cut coming in, small cap also, but a good recovery coming in on the small cap index, because at one point of the trading day we were 0.6% lower. We have some recovery coming in on the small cap index as well, 0.3% higher. That's what the market is looking like right now. Very quickly, sectorally, auto, PSU, banks and energy, your top sectoral gainers. On the flip side, media, realty, IT, metal, bank and pharma and FMCG rather, all of these in the red. That's what the market is looking like right now.
Well, absolutely, and it's auto that's remaining resilient yet again. But tell you what, let's kickstart taking all of your stock-related queries. Then before we do that, viewers, the number that you can write to us will be flashing on the top of your screens. There you have it. Do write to us with your buy price for the stock that you're already invested in, and for ideas where you're looking to invest in a stock, do mention the time horizon that you then have in mind for those stocks as well. With that, let's kickstart taking all of your stock-related queries. And today on the show, let's in fact kickstart the show by going to Sharmila, who's standing by, Sharmila Joshi from sharmilajoshi.com. Sharmila, good morning. Let's kickstart the show by taking the first query that is coming across to us. We do have Bala from Coimbatore, who's holding 850 shares of SBI. Buy price is 820 rupees. He's asking if it would be the right time to add more. What do you think?
So I think buying SBI is always a good idea, and it is our premier bank in terms of the kind of market share that they have as well as numbers. So I think you could possibly, since I think it's quite close to his buying price, if I'm not wrong. So probably try to stagger buying if you want to buy fresh. Try and buy the stock on bits, but definitely I think stay put with what you have.
Sharmila, thanks for that view coming in. This is Snehi also joining in. Next query coming in from our viewer Biki Kumar Shaw from Kolkata, and he's asking that he holds 30 shares of Tata Technologies. He's held it with a view of holding it for the long term, but it's been declining. So now he is having doubts about his holding. Should he continue to hold? Should now be a time to book losses and exit?
Well, this is a stock that I like. The thing is that the kind of verticals that they're focused on have to do with the auto industry, and we are seeing increasingly the amount of computerization and digitalization that is getting into cars. So I think that they will have an increasing sort of client list going ahead, and the EV market offers a very big sort of an opportunity for them. Having said all that, I think what you must also bear in mind is that they've had a recent IPO. The IPO is, I think, quite new. And typically what we see is that, we have IPOs which are fairly priced nowadays, in the sense that a lot of positives are already in the price. And then when markets take a turn and when early investors want to exit, etc., then we see the stocks correcting. And I think that's the phase that Tata Tech is in at the moment. Because it is sort of reacting to the fact that it's a new listing and people are exiting, and the fact that markets themselves are sort of in a corrective mode. So it is a stock that I like at this price, but I don't really see it going up in a hurry. So you will have to give both the sector that it is catering to as well as the market as a whole an opportunity to do better. So if you have that kind of patience, I think you can definitely hold what you have or buy fresh.
And patience is key when it comes to Tata Tech. That's the word coming in from Sharmila as well. But the next one that we have is coming in from Mahalakshmi, writing to us from Hyderabad. Wants to know about ABB 55 shares at a buy price of 8,290. Time now to average at this point?
Oh, yes, I think you can average. I think that there have been some concerns about some activity, corporate activity that took place, and that has taken a toll on the stock. But overall, I think, given their order book, as well as I think the outlook for the year going ahead, this is a stock that I own. In fact, both Tata Tech, SBI, and ABB, all the three stocks that we've discussed so far, I do have that. So I think that I stay invested, and I think that this is a good stock.
Positive outlook coming in on ABB India. Sharmila, next query coming in from our viewer Amit from Mumbai. He's asking for your view on Ajanta Pharma, whether to buy more at current levels or just continue to hold. He owns 700 shares of Ajanta Pharma. He's not mentioned his buying price, so we don't know about that. But he's asking if now would still be a good time to accumulate more of this stock.
So now I think from a valuation perspective, it is looking high. But having said that, this is a good stock and it is in a sector that is doing well. So definitely, I think stay invested with what you have.
Valuations are at a higher level when it comes to Ajanta Pharma. That's the word coming in there. But let's also take a look at the next query that we have that is coming in from R. Ganesh, writing to us from Bengaluru. In fact, holding 100 shares of IndusInd Bank purchased at 1,150. Sharmila, what do you have in mind for this one then?
We have seen this stock take a bit of a knock, and I mean, rightfully so, given with everything that was happening. But now the valuations look reasonable. That said, it will take time to recover to sort of go back to anywhere close to the levels that it was at. But to my mind, now would be a wrong time to sell the stock. And you'll have to be patient. But I think if you have the stock, you should hold.
Okay, that's the view coming in on IndusInd Bank as well. Sharmila, stay on with us. We'll slip into a very short break.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's continue taking all of your stock related queries. And we also have Osho Krishan joining us on this show. He is the senior analyst, technical and derivative research at Angel One. Osho, good morning. The first query that I have for you is coming in from Vignesh, who's writing to us about IDFC First Bank 2,000 shares at a buy price of 61 rupees. What do you think about this one?
Very good morning to all of you. We're looking at the overall trajectory of IDFC First Bank, then this counter has been into a very steep bearish trend from the zone of nearly 100. The counter has been into a very strong corrective phase, currently hovering around 60-62 odd levels, and there has been no respite in the near term. So I expect until and unless we see a decent traction in this counter on the higher end and see a revival above the zone of 68 to 70, until that time it's better to stay sidelines from this counter. Only once it crosses the zone of 70 approx odd levels on the higher end, then one can look for opportunities on the buying side in this counter.
So thanks for that view coming in. Let's move on. And Sharmila, next query coming for you. This is from our viewer Nikhil Sharma from Mumbai. He's an intraday trader and a short and long-term trader as well. So any view on this stock would be appreciated. He holds 40 shares of Vedanta at a buy price of 515.5 rupees. When should he go ahead to book profit, or should he continue to hold for the long term, because currently he's facing a loss?
Well, I would say that Vedanta is really a long-term play, because the story that we are now looking at in Vedanta is the fact that they are going to have a demerger where they're going to split into 6 different companies. So very honestly, I think that if you buy Vedanta at this point in time for a short-term view, it would be short-sighted, because I think the game is definitely a long-term play. Also, they are one of those companies which have given very good dividends over this last year or so. So even from that perspective, I think it makes sense to be in the stock for the long term. My guess is about 12 to 18 months, and see how this whole story unfolds. So I think yes, definitely, even though since he's making a loss and he's considering to stay invested long term, I think it's a great idea. He can definitely stay invested in Vedanta.
So he can stay invested in Vedanta. That's the take coming in from Sharmila. Also, I'm going to come to you with the next one, because Satya is writing to us about Torrent Power. Wants to know if he can add for the next 1 to 3 years, and any levels that you're keeping in mind for this one as well.
See, overall, the power sector is looking very positive for a longer or medium term time frame. But currently, looking at the shorter term technical charts, this counter has seen a decent correction and has been hovering below the 200-day simple moving average. So there can be some kind of further correction till the zone of 1400 or 1360 on the lower side. But near around the zone of 1400, one can definitely try to start accumulating in a staggered manner to this counter, because overall the technical parameters have been hovering near the oversold territory. But I expect that there can be a decent further downside movement towards 1400, and that will be an apt level to accumulate this counter from a short or a medium term time frame.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Torrent Power. Sharmila, what's your take coming in on Adani Ports? Because our viewer Srinivas from Dubai is writing to us and he's asking if now would be a good time to start buying, start accumulating more of this stock. Sharmila, that query is for you.
No, I'm just checking the stock name.
Sure, Adani Ports.
Yeah, right. So yes, I think that if this is a stock that you're looking for within the Adani stocks, then this valuation looks reasonable. We of course we saw the entire basket correcting, and then because of everything that has happened, and then a little bit of a recovery from there. But this stock continues to trade at a fairly decent level. So yes, I think you could look to add at this point.
Good to add at current levels. That's the take coming in as far as Adani Ports is concerned. In fact, the next one that we have, Osho, is coming in from Harish Parsi, writing to us from Bengaluru, wants to know if you have any entry price in mind when it comes to Tata Motors, especially with the downside that he's seeing currently in the auto industry. What do you think about this?
Tata Motors, this counter has seen a very drastic plunge in the near term period, but overall the counter is looking very positive from a short or medium term time frame. But definitely one should wait for some kind of consolidation around the levels. More conviction lies once it breaches the zone of 775, which is the bearish zone on the daily time frame. So if there will be any kind of reversal and it breaches the zone of 775, then it will be a very apt approach to buy this counter for a higher target of nearly 950 in the short term period. So better to wait for some kind of revival in the coming period. The time it surges higher towards 775 or 780, one can definitely try to accumulate for a decent upside target in the coming months.
So that's your view on Tata Motors. In fact, our next query, a part of the next query has a lot to do with Tata Motors. We have our viewer Padma, who's a senior citizen, writing to us. She's asking if it's a good idea to sell Yes Bank, where she's currently making a 20% loss, and buy Tata Motors and Hind Copper instead. Your view on Tata Motors is to wait for a bit, but what about Hindustan Copper? And should she also make a fresh exit from Yes Bank right now?
For Yes Bank, this counter is a kind of a very staggered manner movement. There can be a very strong consolidation that can be seen in this counter. On the lower end, approximately the zone of 18 to 17 is a support zone for this counter, while on the higher end, nearly 24 to 25 is the supply zone in this counter. So there can be some kind of in between movement, but it's better to avoid such counters because there can be a lot of vulnerable movement in these sectors. So overall, one can definitely try to skip or switch to other counters like Tata Motor is one of the pick from the auto sector. The other one, Hind Copper, is also looking positive to me. But overall, there can be a decent movement in the coming period. For now, the counter is hovering below the 200-day simple moving average. But I am having a feeling that once it breaches the zone of 290, 295, then we can see a steep upside movement in this counter. So both Tata Motors and Hind Copper both have buy above counters. Hind Copper 290 will be the levels, and for Tata Motors 775 to 780.
All right, so that's the take as far as Tata Motors is concerned. But I'm going to come to you for the next one, Sharmila, because we do have Nagraj writing to us from Bengaluru, wants to know about Ola Electric. Now, he's a long-term investor, so he's okay to hold on to the stock for a while. 1,000 shares at a buy price of 79 rupees is what he's holding on to. What do you have in mind for this one then?
So overall, I think, where autos is concerned, two-wheelers is definitely a space I like. And within the two-wheelers, I think electric two-wheelers have a long way to go. So we have seen that in the beginning, we saw sort of great numbers and then a little bit of a blip as far as Ola Electric is concerned because of issues that they had, etc. But they are making a effort to fix these issues, and we are sort of slowly starting to see that even getting reflected in the numbers. So once again, I think if you're a long-term player, then electric vehicles is a space I'm very positive on, whether it is so really more to do with the fact that in cities you're going to see more electric buses. But also I think two-wheelers will find their space both in rural as well as in urban areas. And we will see this market growing. So Ola Electric, definitely, if you are a long-term investor, you could consider it.
Okay, Ola Electric looking good for the long term is Sharmila's view coming in. Osho, coming to you. Next query coming in from a viewer, Tina. She's holding Power Grid at a price of 300. We don't know how many shares. She's not mentioned the quantity, but Power Grid at a buy price of 300 rupees. Asking for what to do next when it comes to this stock. Buy, sell, hold.
See, currently the counter is hovering just above the cost of around the zone of 311 to a kind of a level. But on the technical front, it is hovering at a very strong support. So 300 is supposed to act as a very strong support in this counter. And in the coming period, I'm having a very bullish stance in these counters like Power Grid, NTPC. All these counters are expecting to have a very decent run from a medium term time frame. So I would advise to stay invested in this counter from medium term time frame. For short term, the upside target is approximately 340, but if the time duration is higher, then definitely stay intact with your investment for higher targets of nearly 370 to 380 levels.
All right, then that's the take coming in as far as Power Grid is concerned. But time now for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll continue taking all of your stock related queries. So do write to us. See you on the other side of the break.
Hi the viewers, welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now. Thanks so much for staying on with us. We'll make an attempt to address all the queries that you are sending us, but on that note, keep sending us your queries on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on top of your screen. But let's keep it going with all the queries then, and Osho, coming to you now. Next query coming in from a viewer from Chennai. B. Soumya is writing to us and is currently holding shares of GNFC. We don't know the quantity, but the buy price is 675 rupees, and also asking for the strategy going ahead, continue to hold or exit at the current price. Also, they're asking for a short-term view coming in on the stock, some short-term advice. So what's your advice on this one?
See, overall in this year, this counter has not given very positive returns. In fact, it has been into it has provided a negative return of nearly 20-21%. But overall, from a short-term perspective, this counter is hovering around the strong support of 550 odd levels. So for short-term perspective, it will be recommendable to hold this counter with a very small stop loss of 550, approximately 15 points from here onwards. On the higher end, I'm not very much optimistic or aggressive on the targets, but there can be some kind of rebound or resurgence towards the zone of 640 to 650, which can be seen as an opportunity to exit in the short term time frame. But overall, if the person can hold this counter for a longer duration, then any breakthrough above 650 can give some kind of further momentum in this counter towards the zone of 720, but that will be from medium term time frame. For short term, 550 to approximately 650 will be the range in this counter.
And that's a take coming in as far as GNFC is concerned. Sharmila, the next one is coming in from Sampath M. He wants to know if it's a good time to buy Indian Bank. What do you think?
So overall, within the space of PSU banks, Indian Bank always has been one of those banks where fundamentals have always been strong, and so on and so forth. They've had a good hold on their NPAs, etc. So even at this price, I think the valuations seem decent. Only thing is that you will need to probably be a little patient to allow overall PSU banks to sort of come back in favor for the stock to move up. But that said, within the space, Indian Bank is a good name.
That's a take on Indian Bank. Osho, next query coming in from the banking space as well. Jana Small Finance Bank is the next stock in question. And our viewer Shiv Kumar from Bengaluru is holding 72 shares of Jana Small Finance Bank at a buy price of 414 rupees per share. He's asking, should he hold or sell? He's also saying that brokerage houses are recommending a sell and to invest in alternative names. What's your view here? What are you making of this stock at least?
See, overall, there has been a very steep correction in Jana Small Finance Bank from the zone of 750. There has been a continuous sell-off towards the zone of 370, 380 odd levels now. And there has been no respite in this counter in the short or medium-term time frame. So it's better to stay sidelines or exit from the counter and look for opportunities in other PSU counters. Just mentioned now that Indian Bank is looking very positive. So one can definitely try to accumulate those kind of share which can have a kind of a movement which is expected in a bullish market, because this counter has been into a negative terrain from a very longer period and from a very higher zone. So it's better to exit and switch to other good fundamental PSU sector.
Right, and that's the take coming in as far as Indian Bank is concerned. The next one that we in fact have is coming in from our viewer who's not mentioned his name. Actually, he has Venkat Rao from Vishakhapatnam is asking us this question. He's a senior citizen, Sharmila, long-term investor as well. Wants to know about Canara Bank, 3,000 shares at a buy price of 119 rupees. What do you think about this one?
So, I think sort of similar to what I said about Indian Bank, this is a good quality larger PSU bank. My concern has really been that overall this entire PSU banking space, as well as you were just a little while earlier talking of a small finance bank. So companies like that where we are seeing sort of the impact of not so good numbers, and not so, we aren't seeing that much of a demand for credit, etc. That space is suffering a little bit. So within that space, I think this is a good name. Once again, valuations look reasonable, but as I said, the only caveat is that you might need to stay invested for a sort of a longish period of time to see recovery in stock prices, because you will have to see recovery in that entire space and market before it starts reflecting in the stock price. So you'll have to give it at least a couple of quarters to see better numbers, and then from there on, maybe in the stock price. So my guess is anywhere you have to keep a sort of an 18 to 24 months sort of a time horizon if you want to buy either an Indian bank or a Canara Bank. That said, both are, I think, good quality names.
Canada Bank a player for the medium or the longer term. That's the view coming in from Sharmila. Osho, coming to you. 3 stocks now on our viewer's radar. A viewer called Balan, and he's holding HUL, Cochin Shipyard as well as Federal Bank, and asking would now be a good time to add on to these stocks or wait for some time more before doing that?
See, for the FMCG space is into a steep correction. There has been a formation of lower lows, lower highs in majority of the FMCG space, and HUL being the heavyweight, it has been hovering below the 200-day simple moving average. So one should better wait for accumulating HUL at current levels. If there can be any kind of revival above the 200-day simple moving average, which is approximately 2,500, so that will be providing a much needed momentum in this counter. So that will be a level where one can try to accumulate HUL. Now coming to other counters like Federal Bank, yes, Federal Bank is looking positive to me, and it is in a cycle of formation of higher highs, higher lows, and currently hovering around the 100-day exponential moving average, which historically provides a very strong cushion to this counter. So one can definitely try to accumulate Federal Bank at these levels, but in a staggered manner, because if there can be a further correction, then at lower levels of approximately 180, 185, one can again start adding this counter. So Federal Bank can be accumulated at current levels, and for HUL, wait for some kind of correction, consolidation. If there will be some kind of consolidation or bottom formation, even at these levels, then one can definitely try to accumulate.
And can accumulate Federal Bank in a staggered manner. That's the take coming in from Osho. But time for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll continue taking all of your stock related queries. So utilize this break to write to us. See you on the other side. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Let's continue taking all of the stock related queries. And the next one that we actually have, Sharmila, is coming in from Lakshmi from Hyderabad. Wants to know if it's a good time to buy Coal India. What do you think?
Let me just pull up the valuations, because I think Coal India is also one of those stocks which, for retail investors who are looking for a dividend yield kind of a stock, this has always been a good stock to buy. Also, I think at this point in time, valuations are fairly decent. So yes, I think if you're a retail investor and if you have a long-term view, Coal India is a good stock to be.
Okay, a good time to buy Coal India. That's the view coming in. But moving on then, next query coming in from our viewer Jai Krishnan from Kerala. He's holding HAL at 4,744. We don't know the quantity, but 4,744 is the buy price. Osho holding for the medium term. What should he do? Would now be a good time to average that stock, is what he's asking.
Coal India have seen a very decent correction from the highs of 5,600 and is hovering just below the 200-day simple moving average. But in the last few trading weeks, the stock has given some kind of signal of a reversal from the lower zone of 4,000. But again, in the last 1 week, there has been a steep correction from the highs of 4,800. So overall, the counter is attempting to have a kind of reversal, and from a medium-term perspective, yes. one can definitely try to accumulate this counter for higher target of 4800 on immediate or short-term basis.
Okay.
And even for longer-term perspective, we can see a decisive upsurge in the coming period. So one can definitely accumulate this.
Okay, thanks for that view coming in, Osho. So that was Osho's take on HAL coming in. Let's quickly accommodate the next query coming in from Subrata Mukherjee from Kolkata. Wants to buy Glaxo Pharma for the long term. Would now be a good time to buy, Sharmila?
Glaxo Pharma is one of the stocks that you can buy if you have a long-term view in mind. Valuations are sort of average at this point in time. So yes, if you have a long-term view, you can buy.
So that's a take coming in as far as that particular counter is concerned. Moving on, then the next one is coming in from Jagannath, writing to us from Hubli. MRPL is the one that he's asking about also, and the quantity is 100 shares at a buy price of 217 rupees. What do you have in mind for this one?
See, overall from 217, the counter have been into a decent correction around approximately hovering around 150, and there has been no sign of reversal in the short-term period. So one can definitely hold this counter because it is consolidating around the zone of 140. So it is forming a base near about 140. So keeping a stop loss of 140, one can stay invested in this counter. On the higher end, the momentum will get triggered once it crosses the zone of 170. So 140 and 170 is the immediate range. If there will be any kind of breakthrough on any side, then we can see another 20 to 30 points of movement on either of the sides. So 140 should be a strict stop loss that will be suggested in this counter.
Okay, viewers, unfortunately, that's the last query that we could accommodate on the show. But we'll once again see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. and take all of your stock queries. Osho, Sharmila, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to interact with you again. But if we don't do so by the end of the year, wishing you both a happy new year as well. Bye.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.